Okay, hi there guys. Just let me know if you can hear me loud and clear. Maybe not loud, but just at least clear. Let's see who's in today. Hope we had a good weekend. Alrighty, Chris. G'day, Chris. How are you, mate? Alright. Let's rip into it. Oh, there's a few more people coming in. Okay. Alright, welcome guys. Welcome to Trade Setup in the live stream. It's the 5th of March. So another bit of a negative day today. As US wasn't too bad on Friday night, but it's Europe that got pounded. All because of this. I think it's more or less because of the, what is it called? The tariffs. Supposedly going to be implemented by Trump, but I think there's a bit of backlash against that even within the US as well. So I think he's a surprise tariff. I think he just says a lot of stuff off the cuff, creates a bit of havoc, and then who knows, maybe it's a bit of him jostling when he's going to meet, I think trade talks with China maybe, they're in at the moment, or they're going to, or whatever. So I think it's a bit of cat and mouse. I think last time they did that in 2002, it wasn't taken too nicely by the market. So, but they obviously over there, Europe copped it a bit because I think, especially on the DAX was down about a couple of hundred points. They got beaten around a bit because I think they've got a lot of exports out, obviously to the US. So they're sort of heavily weighted on the index, which it copped it a bit. Plus, the night before on the DAX, they're playing catch up from the day the US session. So they generally close, I think the DAX shares close around 1 a.m. The futures will go right through. So they closed down and then the US came out and got knocked around a bit. That was on Thursday night. So they're playing catch up on Friday night during the European session. And ended down because of the tariffs also because that's the first night they sort of got a chance to react to the tariffs, especially on the DAX. The UK wasn't too bad. We'll take a look at that in a sec. But yeah, the US actually, I think the SPY was down during European session, further down from where it was during the day, and then turned around and just bounced up a bit. Grinded its way higher during the US session to finish up about 10 points from the 4 o'clock close. So our market has opened up and ticked lower. I don't know where we're down about at the moment, probably about 10, 15 points, somewhere around there. That's where we've been hovering around there. We'll take a look at that in a minute. Let's get stuck into it. For anyone that's new, welcome. If you listen for the first time, if you listen later on, welcome. It'd be good if you can join us in the live stream, but if you can't, feel free to send through any questions to support@tradesetup.com.au. If you don't get a chance to, if you're watching this after the fact, then just send us some questions through if you have any that come up or pop up during the session. Top left-hand corner, you'll see on the screen is Twitter. Join us on Twitter. Top right is Facebook. Not much action on Facebook at the moment for us. Bottom right is YouTube. And our general advice warning smack front and center. All right, let's get into it then, guys. How are we all faring today? Let's just adjust my chart as per usual. That's not right. That's one's right. There we go. Now you should see it. The whole screen now. What are we down? 16. So we've just had some numbers. Just had some numbers come out at 11:30 Aussie numbers. So they were building approvals. And we just get those up. I think the building approvals come out a lot better than expected. Let me just find it. Here we go. So building approvals out 11:30. We're expecting up 5%, up 17%. But I think the previous month they were expecting it up and it was down 20%. So it's pretty much matching off. For the previous month's data, which came out more negative than expected. Some other company operating profits in the Aussie come out expecting up 1.6%. They were 2.2%, so that's not too bad. They had some China data out that's coming out in about 5 minutes, actually. That's, I don't know how to say it, CAIXIN, Caixin, Services PMI. So I'll see if that gives the market a bit of a jolt, but I don't think it will too much. Let's just get rid of that. I just want to show. All right. So yeah, Hong Kong 50. Have you spoken about that before? Haven't? How'd you go? I just had a short on the Aussie before we come in here. I couldn't hold it because I just didn't want to be sitting there when it's open while I'm talking. So I'll be pretty useless talking. I like to stare at things too much. Stare at the actual markets. Oh, we'll take a look at the Aussie too in a minute. Well, let's kick it off. Let's look at just where the Aussie ASX is. And we've spoken about these levels quite a bit. Maybe I don't want that. No, maybe I wanted the XJO, but I didn't want. I wanted to do. Let me just try something. Just 1 second there, guys. I just got to get up. Long and great, great and long. Good work. Long and great. Long and strong. There you go. Is that it? ASX. Why can't I get that? Let me see if they say XJO. Yeah, well, they don't like it. Let's forget about that. I'm just trying to get it up on. No, futures, dollars, Australian wheat, cooking, dollar. No, all right, let's forget about that. So we've got. Some decent support through here, 56.50. We've had that big run up to about 61.50 thereabouts. We've had this big washout, obviously, due to what's happening over in the US, interest rates. Now, we've just had this little pop up recently, and we've come back about, we're sitting somewhere around the 50% mark, probably just a touch over retracement for that move. So it'd be interesting to see if we can get a bit of buying. I think the US, we're looking at the Dow shorter term. Remember, when you're talking about it, always let everyone know what sort of time frame you're looking at. But shorter term, we were looking at the Dow. I'll get the chart up. Bouncing a little bit. Whether it does or doesn't, we don't. I mean, problem is it's a bit of a curveball with the tariffs now, because we're not sure what's going to happen. Whether there's going to be a bit of argy-bargy, some reaction from the EU and a reaction from China. If the US go through with it, and what the US are going to do. I think they came out yesterday regarding the tariffs and said that it's going to be, some companies will have exemptions, or there'll be some sort of exemptions, so it may not be as broad scope as what we thought, which it'd be Trump's mates. It'd be interesting to see how that goes, but I think it's taken the pressure off, obviously, interest rate rise, because if they do go ahead with it, that's going to constrain, you would think, growth a bit, constraining interest rates, and maybe the market's going to start pulling back to 3 rate rises for the year, as opposed to factoring in or trying to factor in 12 in the US. So they've got a few things to think about now. So whether the Dow actually bounces back up, let me just get it. Let me get it. Dow, here we go, the last one. That was it there. So I'm sort of geared up for this. We're looking at support zone through 24.6, which I think it did push through there. If I can get that chart up. Dow, I think it did push through there the other day. I am 30-minute one on one, 4-hourly chart. Let's just take a look at the 4-hourly chart. Yeah. So it did push through there. We're sort of doing this top price action at the moment. So whether we pump through, push back up to retest the breakout zone, which we're actually right up there now, which you can see. If we push down the breakout zone and then start to roll over and hold this trend down, and then it's really all about how far we get down, whether we just retrace. Well, let's just see if I can do. I'm not into Fibos, but I know it's just good to see if we're 50%. We're probably over 50% from this low to high, or give or take right there at the moment. Is that Fibos? No, don't know. Don't worry about it. So if that's the case, okay, John, trade channel 4-digit tag number. All right, I think I've got to find out. I've got to get the IT guy maybe to have a look at that. We'll find out for you, John. Yeah, so if we're pushing down here, we could just be flushing out this zone. There's a couple of support zones just in here as well. I mean, what we've really done, if we can draw that up, let's just delete that out. What we've done is we've pushed down, but we've just come in. Well, we've just come into some support zones as well. So we've got a bit of a support zone through here. We've just broken out that low, so we can easily just extend that. We've come down to a lower level. What's that lower level after? Because everyone's sort of expecting potentially this is going to hold up. Okay, what's going to happen from there? A lot of the times the market does do that. They can blow through and they can come right into another support zone. And what they're really doing is just washing out other levels. So they can do that quite consistently in the market. And what we've done, we've potentially seen that now. So it'd be interesting to see if we, let me draw it up on the other chart. I'll keep my levels. I'll get rid of that. So what I'm seeing here, you've come down to this support. We've broken through this higher low just through here. What would be interesting to see if we just go down and we start consolidating between there and holding some high lows. That'd be interesting because I think then we've just washed out this support zone through, what's that, around 24,250 thereabouts. Just washed out that, washed out a couple of levels, cleaned it out a bit, and we could just retrace back up. But then I'd still be looking for, you know, some sort of major lower high, because I still think there's a bit involved in this, this move down. There could still be a bit to come. It's all, obviously, no one knows what's going to happen. We're all just trying to see what's happening. I mean, the fact that we've still got worries or concerns about interest rate rises, and then you've got thrown in the mix is the tariffs. I mean, people who might just be getting jittery, there might just be a lack of volume going into the market in the US because of what's happening. And then you've got people who have been holding on to their longs or maybe bought it up through here. It might just be looking to go, look, I've had enough. Let's just call it a day or ease out of some of my positions and then just go from there. But it'll be interesting to see what happens from here. We just reacted off this support here after breaking through that low. So from here, I think we could just grind up, or do we just go boom, straight down? And then start to find more of a, no, not really that, more of a support zone back down to those lows at 23,400. And that would maybe be your second move down, 1, up, 2, down, back down into that support. And then from there, we just have to see, like I said, how it goes over the next few days. But the Dow it is fine to plan at the minute. We'll have to see what the S&P does as well. I think the Dow was down, but the S&P was up on Friday, which is a bit, you know, so you're saying the Dow, the top 30 companies weren't too happy with with what's going on, but the broader market's not doing too bad. And generally, well, you couldn't get the bigger ones, the bigger caps are probably leading the market a tad. So let's just see. Let's see what the S&P is doing. It's going to be along the same lines, really. Yeah, so it's doing a similar type of thing. It didn't quite get down into their support zone, which is probably a bit further down, 26.32. It's just fallen short about that, but it is reacting higher, so it'll be interesting again, just so we can see a bit of reaction higher. Maybe hold this trend line, so we may get up to, say, 27.05 and then roll over again. So just keep an eye on that over the coming days, guys. To be honest, I'm not too bullish, obviously not bullish on the market. We've got two that we've got out of today. Squeezed out of those today on WHA and FMG. Don't mind being flat, to be honest. I'm not really seeing anything that suits my type of trading style in the way of setups longer term at the moment. We're seeing a few, like when we go through WHA in a minute, that blew through a resistance. It was looking great, took off, and then it's just turned around and retraced on itself. And we missed out on a profit target by about 4 cents. So it's a bit of a beating on that one, a bit of a shame. And FMG did go through it. It was looking good at one stage. Was starting to rally up, took through a resistance zone, and then just turned around and retraced on itself. So it was probably more of a washout than anything else. And I know Helen got out, so good work on that. So we've been squeezed out with it taking out the higher low. So we'll just sit on our hands and see what happens with that. But I'll go through those in a minute. Let's just quickly look at, we've looked at the S&P. So that's just reacting high at the moment. We had a, that's the S&P that was up. Yeah, so the broader market was up on Friday, yet the Dow wasn't. The Dow was down 70, so there's a bit of a mixed bag there. Just reacting off those lows at this extension, so it'll be interesting to see. Like I said, we can grind high. We might get a lot of contraction longer term, but just going to the weeklies. The weeklies is more the concerning. We look like we're potentially just going to build a lower high. A lower high would suggest that we're going to take out those lows at 23.5, and that's probably the same type of, same scenario on the Dow, on the S&P as well. I'm looking more of a lower high just to get a bit of a squeeze out, or maybe trade down to these lows just to squeeze out a few more buys. And then I think after that, the markets are probably going to have to put in, I wouldn't want to see it react straight back up to the highs. That's not, for me, that's not conducive to a strong market. It's more a reaction, profit taking. Sellers are probably standing on the sidelines. It pops up and they go back and sell into it. I would like to see more of a base and reset itself a bit. The markets reset themselves. Like it's going to take probably a fair bit of time just to chop a lot of late buyers out, or a lot of these buyers that are bought it up and when it's starting to go vertical, clean them out a bit, spend a bit of time doing it, just consolidate and start to hold the lows, prove that it's holding the lows with maybe, retesting of major supports, maybe it retests down to 25.50 on the S&P. Then you start holding some high lows. You can see the contraction in on itself with lower highs, lower high lows, just squeezing in on itself. And look, we can drop it down to the daily charts for a bit, some bullish movements. But at the moment, I still think it's got a bit of work to do. So I'm not overly eager to jump back into the market at the moment. I don't believe the way we're going at the moment is that the ASX is too confident. The FTSE, let's see what they're doing. Okay, they're looking like they're really starting to roll over a bit. It is still down in that support zone. It wasn't, even though it got sold off pretty heavy. Not heavily on Friday, but it was a decent sort of down session, 100 points. It's still hovering around that 71 zone. So it'll be interesting to see tonight if we can push down, push through it, extend it lower a bit, and then we'll have to see what goes on from there. Look at the DAX. DAX, same sort of scenario, even though it was a big down day, we've just come back into that support zone in there. So a lot of people do get caught selling into support, and then the thing can just turn around and bounce from there. So just be wary if you're a DAX trader. Nikkei, same sort of lines. Hang Seng, down today. Same sort of thing. I mean, longer term, the weeklies are, that's the weeklies holding up all right. Nikkei is still the same. We could get a lot of choppy action here, a bit of a washout, and then start to hold some higher lows. Don't know. And you can see it can do it a lot. You can see if this move has popped up, got a bit stretched here, went sideways a bit, tried to go through the highs. Just on this move in here, just through 19.5, had to wash out the previous high low and then started lifting from there. So we could be just washing out this 22 and start to lift up from here. You never know. So but at the moment, I'll just let's go back to the ASX. I want to see some contraction. I want to see a high low above 58. I want to see that hold for more confidence that maybe longer term we're going to keep this this weekly trend intact. I mean, it's still, if you look at it, the weekly trend's still far from over. Just go back to where we are. You've still got this type of trend for me. We could still hold, that's your major anchor level for this move up. Back here was your anchor, so it sort of popped up, contracted, retested that, pushed up. Spent a lot of time just chopping around here, up, down, took off to new highs, took out this previous high. You can see through 6,000. We've retreated back into the zone there, just below that resistance zone, but we're still holding that longer term trend up. So we can still spend a lot of time chopping around in here, cleaning a lot of people out, and then turn around and go back up again. How are you, Laurent? But we'll keep an eye on that, guys. All right. The two things I want to look at, just to explain, what do we got there? Instatech pivot. Been looking at this one, but that's your weekly. Monthly's not too flash. It was just that daily that's not looking too bad. Oh, it's actually not. No, it's not really good. Just forget about that one. Forget about it. Knocked out my Mike. It's getting a bit belted, so I'm happy to be out of that at 230. You can see that move, and if we draw that up, the reason why I was happy to get out, I mean, I could have bounced. I thought it may have bounced. One is the negativity in the market at the moment. Is that a weekly? No, daily. There's a few things I was hoping that it would kick on, but there's a few things starting to play out that had me a bit concerned. So I was happy to just to tighten up on that risk. You've got, if you're just looking through here, it's just starting to edge through with that move down to 210. Whether it's going to or not, you've probably got a longer term support. It could always push down here, hold the trend, but then you've got your major anchor level around 160. And we're coming off a double top, essentially a double top. You know, we just traded up into it. The next day went through, cleaned it out, straight down again from there. So that's was a little bit of a spewer. We had 4 cents, 290 it got to. We had a partial exit at 294. So it killed me that I didn't get out at a partial exit. Should have just taken it. I was looking at it into this resistance, but it was actually looking quite strong. So I just lifted it. Should have really lowered that and just got out of some when it was starting to look negative that day. But c'est la vie, I guess you say. So yeah, this market all in all, I mean, this stock, Waddle Health, WHA, you've got a major double top to contend with a bit of a washout there. So that's probably going to lead to a bit of selling, especially when you couple that with what the overall market's doing. It's just the uncertainty of what's happening. All the news, everyone's talking about trade wars now. That's going to cause concern. Last time it happened in 2002, the markets didn't take it well. So everyone's got that in the back of their mind. They've been taught to just, you know, listen to the news, what's going on, believe what's going on. You never know what's happening. You've got to trade off your charts, I guess, but it's always going to create a bit of uncertainty on the open, which it's done. The last few days, I think it's open, gap down, and tried to hold it and just couldn't, and then gap down again. So we had a couple of good days. Out at 230 on that. Oh, 230. So yeah, I'm happy to be out of that just because of the way it's had such a big day down. And these couple of days, I don't like it when it takes out levels. So you can see that's only a minor level at around that 238 or I think it's 238. Low 236. It was only a minor level, but I just figured if it got through there, especially, you know, I'm uncertain about the market as well, what our ASX is doing. The ASX has been grinding lower. It's really hard to get. You've got to have an absolute cracker of a stock. It's got to be, everything's got to be aligned. If this, you can just keep grinding higher without, in an overall uncertain market like the ASX is, like the US is, Europe is at the moment. It's got to be a cracker of a stock just to keep grinding high and not even worry about it. So that, when you bear that in mind, I'm happy to tighten stops up. You know, we've gone to cash at the moment. We're pretty much got nothing. We're flat. Locked in ACX, which I think we spoke about on Thursday. So it's really just sitting back, watching the market and see what some solid setups that pop up. Keep an eye on the ASX and the Dow. See if they can play out and start finding some support. FMG was the other that didn't like me. And you can see this is probably quite clear. Go to the weekly. The reason why I was liking it was this nice strong push up. Cleaned out that $7 mark, had a big correction, popped up. If it was looking weak, you would have expected this support to be broken, and then we popped up, pulled back. That was more of a confirmation, go back to here, of a high low as soon as we took out that high. Problem is it did take out the high, it pretty much cleaned it out. A bit of a washout. We were long from 520 or so, just on this move up, so we're sitting okay for a while. We've got the divs, which is handy. But yeah, the market's still turning around, taking out this high low. So that's, you know, things like that happen. And I would rather be, I mean, this thing could obviously turn around. It could pop up. You can respect that major support zone around 450. We could easily respect that, turn around, head straight higher. But when you don't know what's going on and you're not confident, you're better off just, like I said, tightening up your stops. You can always get back in if you have to. You can always find a nice setup. It will play out if you do get cleaned out, but I'd rather be on the sideline and, you know, the way we are at the moment. I mean, and if this was a strong market, you would have expected this to hold up, that little correction off, and then start to lift again. If the overall market's looking strong, if people are bullish on this, you know, all these little factors. All right, anything you want to look at, guys? I've probably banged on a lot about what we've got, or what we haven't got now. I thought I might just take a quick look at the Aussie to see what that's doing. Put in some codes if you want to have a look. Trying to think of what else we're looking at. There was one BTT, I think we've spoken about that short. let's go to that. Look, that might play out. You can see it's yeah, we did speak about this, didn't we? So you've got this major support, it's traded down. You've got essentially a double top with a washout through here. I'll just draw that up. So it's really starting to find some weakness. And if I can just draw it a bit better, and you can see this move up here is running out of steam. So it's just starting to roll over, and you can see there's got a major double top up at above 13, another one just in here where it's retested and it's starting to fail. So if you go back, just couple that with the daily, what we're seeing in the daily, that's your retest fail, we call it, or double top, popped up, it washed out that level. You can see it was about 1170 thereabouts with this little washout here, and that's got a major double top up here, or retest fail, which is the second time it touched it in here. So you can see that I'm really starting to see weakness creep into this market. And the last time it was up near this high, it got right up here, it was overbought up here. Good pressure to the upside, and then it started easing, pushing right back down to that support at 1020. And then it really couldn't get going. It pushed down, and we've just had a really strong buy and another, a big effort really. You can see in the buying pressure from the stochastics, the buying pressure's put it right up into overbought territory above 80. Look what we got. We really didn't get too far. Now we're starting to look like we're rolling over. So we'll see if we can blast through that low and just extend for that one, potentially two moves down. Could take us around, don't know, I'm getting 70 million, but somewhere around the $9 zone, potentially. If we can get that, and where we're just going to have a risk just above the lower high there. Yeah, it's showing, to me, it's just showing a bit of weakness there. Where's 9? So 9's basically in this low just in here as well. So we could easily come back down to retest that. And it's a lot like along the lines of, yeah, it's pretty much, if you can see this structure here, this is Sydney Airports. We've been spruiking this as a short for a while. Didn't actually trade it, only because the market was looking a lot better at the time. The ASX, and I prefer just to stick to the long side when the market's looking good. Probably here you can see we had that big push up, corrective action lower, just cleaning out a lot of these late buys. Found a bit of support through here, in this zone here. Just draw that in this zone in here. Push back up, and just in here we washed out the previous highs. And then what we've done is just started to find some weakness again. Okay, so we've just backed off that high. See, it's not a good sign when you especially what you can see, this move up here, it's really extended. There's a lot of green candles, bar this one. Bar that one red candle, green, 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 all the way up. It really extended into those highs. I would much rather see a market that's popped up, say it's pulled back. I want to see this type of action. Maybe getting a bit choppy and just consolidate just below the highs, and then I would expect that could extend through. But when it just extends into it, washes it out, and then you get another from here. Another pretty much a double top here, and then you can see this price action here was just starting to get weak. So we're finding some sellers back up at around 775. It found the point there. People edged out of the market, built a low, back up at that level at 775. We get more sellers just stacking back in again. Pulled back, should have gone from here, should have gone through. Instead, it failed just here, pulled back, holding this trend up, had another crack at it, and just failed again. And then we start seeing this move down, breaking down from this trend line, whether we get down to just 575 and retest that support in there is we yet to know just yet, but that's pretty much the same sort of price action of what we've just seen on what we're just looking at on, don't remember, BTT. Does that make sense, guys? So if we just tick over onto the daily, it was about here. There's this little sell-off here. That was a nice little prime entry. So that's what I feel we're getting now on BT Finance, Finance. Let's go back to the weekly. Where's that? Just through 7? Yeah, just through 7. And again, the market was... The difference is, I think, you can see the stochastics on the weekly. I just want to show you something. It's more... This is the only difference in the two trades, and one thing that probably got me a tad concerned. See, the weekly stochastics is quite high, so there's been some good buying pressure. We're up around the 70 mark. just when we started to break down from about this point. So this is just after. So there's a lot of fat in the move for sellers to really edge into the market. All right, on the daily, does that make sense? On the daily, we were down more at oversold levels just here. I mean, it still did extend, but what it's got is the weekly chart behind it, if that makes sense. So we've got the weekly wind in its sails, I like to say, is really got it could, from going from overbought to oversold, it's got a lot of emphasis. It could really push down. Sellers could really stack in. If we go the difference on BTT, it's sort of the reversed. On the weekly chart, it's more oversold, but on the daily, it's more. The daily, it's overbought. So look at the daily here. The daily, this could easily, I mean, it could easily fall short, could retest lows and then bounce. And this could go from overbought to oversold. Pressure's really strong. Can't get through that zone, or it could just chip us in. So I'll have to keep an eye on this, to be honest. Go back to the weekly. You can see that move down quite strong. So I'm sort of, look, I think it's worth a little bit of risk to see if it can just blow through it. I mean, because that daily can easily extend and just trigger a lot of stops around that 1020 mark, and then just boom, blow through that level, trigger a big sell-off down to 9, and then, okay, you've got your short. And it could still just hang around that like this. You know, just hang around oversold with the pressure. It's just boom, boom, sending it all the way lower. Does that make sense, guys? Or we could just get a little blast through down to 10. The daily goes oversold. The weekly is still oversold. We get buyers starting to step in just below 10 as we wash out the previous lows. And then we'll just have to reassess it. But at the moment, I mean, the daily's still looking like it's a bit of a short. And don't forget, shorts can be a bit harder and faster than going long. Long's more controlled. Shorts can just go boom, straight down, clean out a lot of people, and then you get those that buying just reaction back up again. All right. Any questions on that? So that's pretty much what I want to talk about. I'll just have a quick look at the Aussie for anyone that's interested. And it is there. So that's, we've got the 4-hourly chart here. So you can see it's, let's click over the daily. Let's start the daily and work our way backwards. Because the daily, I think the euro has got a bit more weakness to it. I do think you can see the daily, I'll get rid of that. We're up in this zone here. If I can just extend it out, we just popped up into this resistance. It's not an anchor as such, because that anchor's been changed since we got down to here. Okay. So once we got down here, don't do that. Once we got down to here, that anchor's negated from here. It pushes, you got this big leg down. Not doing so well. Get this leg down, bounce back up. All right, let's just get rid of that. Let's do this. No, don't worry. This big push down, it chopped up, so we formed another anchor here, and the anchor's confirmed once you wash out the lows. But what we did there is pretty much clean out those lows instead of seeing this price action, which was quite nice. We've just bounced back up. We've washed out the low, bounced back up, and then we started holding major high lows. You got one here at what, 71.64. Pressing up, there's another one in here, just as we're getting up towards these highs. Let's make that a bit bigger. I don't like black. Let's change that color. So you got up here, pulled back, holding high lows, respected the high low, back up into those highs at 81 and 17, and we reacted lower off there, but we're still holding that trend up. Once we reacted down to 75.12, and we popped back up from here, back up into the highs, and then we've just come back off that again from down here. Let's get rid of that. It's getting a bit annoying. As you can see, this is not the world's best. Anyway. Oh, it's next to impossible some days. There you go. Got it. I've got it. So you can see the market, it's looking a bit choppy, and whether this is going to start to prove a strong resistance zone at 81.17. That's on your daily, don't forget. or whether we start holding up here and we start really holding, continuing that trend in. It's a nice little zone. It could be a nice zone to start holding again and building, but we have to break out a few of those anchors. So if we go down a couple of charts, just look at what we're doing on the 30-minute chart. Does anyone trade the Aussie? While we're at it, in currencies, currency traders in here? If not, we'll just get through this and we'll get into the stocks. We've got IEL and RSG. So that's your move down from your daily, and you can see we've had. Now what I'm looking at here is really, I'll get rid of that. So that's one move down. We've had a corrective action up, and then potentially we're in the midst of pushing down again. And I'm really seeing we've sort of done, okay, we held, you can see all the lower highs in here. It was pretty steady, and we started cleaning them back out. Pretty much a double bottom, if you can see just through there with that little spike lower, and then pushed up. Then we've got another major anchor level at the moment, right up at that 79.90 zone. So it's still a couple of hundred pips away, or probably a bit more, 250, 240 pips away. And we've had that secondary move down, but we're not getting down here too convincing. And you can see this leg down, you can actually split that up into one, had that corrective action up, and we're on the way down again. So what I'm really seeing here is if we can hold that as a lower high and start washing out that, I would expect that to continue. But what we could do, this latest move down is not as strong. Does that make sense? So we've got this major leg down without really the secondary move. You've got a secondary move up. We're on a second move down from the weekly or from the daily chart. We've just gone through this low, and we're starting to come into a zone where we could potentially pick up. We could be starting to look to hold a daily high low, a major high low, maybe from the weeklies as well. So we're coming into a nice zone. There's just really a few factors out that we have to keep an eye on just to see if if it breaks up through here, then you've got obviously this level to contend with up at 78.19, and then you've got your major resistance zone, which was up here. Another resistance at 78.97. So we want to see this, if it can hold some high lows, it could break out of this move down and start to hold. But I sort of expect a pop up, move down, retest that low, maybe wash out, find an inside bid zone, and then start working its way up. If it starts working its way up longer term, from the shorter time frame charts, that means we're going to get that confirmed. Well, potentially, we might get a zone where maybe not just here, but somewhere around there where it could just extend into. But that's going to be your major high low from your dailies. Just go back to that. Does that make sense, guys? Let me see if I can draw that. No, I want this, don't I? It's going to be this. I mean, we could, like I said, just eyeballing that, we could easily extend low and come all the way back down. It may take a bit of time, 76.20. But those numbers out, like we said at the start of the session, were not too bad. So you maybe expect that's going to be a bit of buying support, maybe interest rate rises if housing's still going strong, the economy's ticking along. I know no one's really expecting a rate rise this year from the RBA, especially the way the overall global markets are. We're going to be constrained by what's happening in the US and Europe. If the equities just take it, not a dive, but they really spend a lot of time chopping around, a good part of 6 months they could spend chopping around, then we may not be concerned, but don't forget the markets are forward-looking. If we keep getting some strong figures, it's going to be more positive for the Aussie dollar. So you can just see, I mean, that longer-term sort of grind up, I sort of expecting this to find a base in here somewhere, find a high low, and start edging its way back up to 81.17, potentially through it, and then we'll just have to see what happens. But it's not that 81.17 is not a key level by any means. All right, let's get into stocks then, guys. $10.40. What was the other one we had? I think it was RSG. RSG is another one I think we've got as a buying at 121. It's just through these highs. Don't mind that. at the moment. It's more the weekly. You can start seeing it's had that big push up. That was through 2016. Big correction lower. Popped up, made a lower high, and it's come back down. But each move down has been supported by some buying, and then you get the move up. Not quite as strong. I mean, that was a good move up there at the start of 2017. Good sell-off. But coming into this zone around the dollar mark, it's starting to get bought up again. Bought up. Only until late, you can see this spike through $1. Got bought up. Took out a few of these, the daily levels. It's only minor levels, really, at $1.10. But then it's trying to go again. Trying to get back down to $1. It's falling short. So that's really going to be a high-low. And I suspect that's going to be confirmed when you get a push up through $1.20. So we'll just see if that can start building and you get some more longer term weekly buys starting to press it up. You might get up to $1.30. Then you've got a few levels to run into and just see if this can start building and you can just drag in some more buys along the way and really start to edge it up through, 130, then potentially 140 and so on. Back up, you've got a lot of room to move up to 190 from there. But that's what I don't mind too much. Again, the way the markets are at the moment might constrain that price action, that trade. What do we got? Laurent, IEL. Just want to check one. I just thought of that while we're... All right. Hey, you've got some of this, Laurent? I mean, longer term... Well, that's the whole data, isn't it? So what is it? Start of 2000, end of 2016, end of 2015 it come on. It's been grinding higher since. It's not a convincing trend. It's nothing major, but you can see it's just holding higher lows. It did pop up just on the open. It got to about, was it $5? Sold off a bit there. Just cleaned out a few of these late buys and started to turn again. So at that stage, it was looking a bit negative. You could have got a lower high from here, and then it could have attacked those lows down towards 3. But instead, it started lifting, just holding high lows. And it has since there, pretty much through 2017. Sometime at the end of Jan this year, it spiked up. It gapped up. So I'm not sure what's happened there. Could be end of Jan. Dividend distribution. I don't see anything. Maybe it's just some results. That was on the 7th of Feb. What date was that? It probably was the 7th of Feb, wasn't it? Okay. So it looks like it's had some good results. And that looks like it was a bit of a surprise. You get that selling down a few days before. I mean, it's gapped down and then been bought up. But each day it was actually getting to new lows. Fundamentals look good. Okay. So yeah, it has, you got that gap up here to 640 and then just spiked up. It got well and truly rejected at 780. So from here, I would like to see a bit of a pullback. I would like to see, I mean, for me to buy it is more of a, only because I'm not a big fan of that type of price action. And it is a bit of a grind at the moment. So you got the markets pretty much through there. I would like to see really, we've had this pop up. At the moment, we're about here. And you can see this action just in here. Sort of between 7 and 750. It's getting a bit choppy now, so I sort of expect that if we're going to do that, we might just pop down, take out that low, and then if we can actually pull back and then start to hold, just clean out, because I think you'd need a lot of these buyers that gapped it up here. They're going to get cleaned out eventually, I would suspect, and I'd like to see them get cleaned out a bit, maybe a pullback to here, and start holding some higher lows and see if those fundamentals could really kick in. And see if it can accelerate, and then you'd want, some good controlled type of a move up through the highs, and then away you go. But I would look for just, maybe through 680 just to clean out some of these buys, because really you had one day it gapped up. Anyone that might have chased it the next 2 days are going to be sitting on the edge of their seat at the moment. What do you call it? Sweaty palms. If they bought it up here, because the last few days haven't been that great, it's sort of opened up. Got sold off. This day you sold off. Negative day. We're talking intraday now. We're not talking from on the daily chart. This day here, again the same. It opened down from the previous day, sold down, then it gapped up. Bit of an indecisive spinning top, you call it. And then the next day it opened up at 740, sold down. 742 or 3, sold down again. So each day it's opening up higher and getting sold straight back down again. So I don't like that type of price action. I'm not seeing, you want to see expansion up, you know, candles that are green, like this, through here. This sort of price action, you don't want to see, even when it's gapping up. It's trying to go and it's getting sold back down during the session. So it looks to me more, the last few days we've seen a bit of profit taking. Someone's just cleaning out, maybe letting it open higher, cleaning out some of their stock. So we'll just have to see. But yeah, I wouldn't be touching it up here, even on a breakthrough. Was it 750? I'm not a big fan of it. I don't like this sort of gap up too much. I'd like to see it spend more time cleaning out some of these late buys and then holding this trend up, because it's starting to get a bit ahead of itself. It's getting further away from the MA, so I would prefer to see a bit more of contraction, that reversion to the mean type of trading. When it comes back to the MAs, you start holding some higher lows as buyers start to step in closer to this trend line up, and then see what happens from there. So how do we go with that? RSG we've got next. How's everyone else going at the moment? Oh, this is what we just spoke about, didn't we? Yeah, let's forget about RSG then. We just spoke about it a second ago, didn't we? How's everyone else going today? You know, is you guys in cash? Are you starting to look to edge back in again? I don't think where the ASX is in. I don't want to say, you know, convince anyone where the ASX is at the moment. I wouldn't suspect it's a look. It could be getting to a zone. You know, we could go in, but it's just the way it hasn't got to oversold territory just yet, and it's still going down. So we could easily get down to 5.8. Press down here, still holding the weekly trend up. You know, 525, which means another 75 points on the downside easily. Down 27 at the moment. Buying in US, okay. Hong Kong. What's that? Let's take a look at that. How do I get that? I got to get the Hong Kong 50, don't I? Indices. I'll just see if I can get it up. I want to take a look at it. Asian. Hong Kong 50. I used to trade, that's the Hang Seng, isn't it? I think the Hong Kong 50. The Hang Seng, I used to love it. It was a rocket. When you get it right, you don't have to wait around too long. Is it the Hang Seng that has 2 sessions, doesn't it, during the day? Yeah, I like the Hang Seng. Is that it? So yeah, I like that. That's so the Hang Seng, for anyone that doesn't know, I think it starts around, am I right, Helen? At around 11 thereabouts, and it's sort of split up in 2 sessions. Or was that the Nikkei I'm thinking of? I haven't traded this for a while, but the Hang Seng I thought would close and then get going again. Yeah, not a bad idea to play small at the moment. But you can see this, and when it goes, it can really go. I used to trade the futures on it during the day, and God, you can chip into that. You get quite a few. The reason why I liked it, unlike the ASX is one of those, you know, the SPY futures, for example. We don't have that many opportunities. I don't think, well, for the way I trade anyway, I don't see a lot of prime opportunities where I'm happy to jump in. Otherwise, it's just the volatility's not there during the day on the SPY. Whereas you get the Hong Kong or Hang Seng. Well, we used to trade, it was volatile, and it could really chop and change. It would just rocket up and down. So you got quite a few opportunities to trade it. Even if you're pulling out just a few points, it means I would enter on stops, get slippage, but God, when the thing went, you get slippage of 4 points and it makes up 20. So it could really rocket. And it was just those opportunities that, you know, with the volatility that really helped. It was good for day trading. And what else? The DAX was like that as well. I think the DAX, when it gets going, could be really volatile. So the opportunities you can get trading it were great. I mean, look at this. Let me just go this setup in here. If I can just get my segment again. Let me get rid of that. So you've got this type of price action here up into the close, and it's gapped down. It's tried to go again, and it just couldn't do it. So you've got this little setup here. easy when you've got this market compressing in on itself. Now, what am I on? I'm on the 30-minute chart, 5-minute chart. And you can see when you get it right, it doesn't really muck around. It doesn't seem to wash out levels as much. The overall 5-minute chart is heading south. The pressure's on. It's tried to pop up here. The MAs are still heading down. It's gapped down on the open, tried to go, and then accelerated. So when you get it right, look, you don't have to wait that long. And the payoff, God, 2-to-1, more than that, isn't it? It's probably 6-to-1 on that move down. You really didn't get under too much pressure. You can see red candle, red, red, red. Started accelerating again through here. A couple of red, bit of a green candle. So you may look at got that green candle and taken some off if you're down at the lower time frames, but then accelerating down to the lows again. And it was only really here when we got this deeper correction. You can see just up here. All right, but then it turned around and head south again. It just washed out. Probably about here, you'd probably find, okay, that move's getting a bit long in the tooth, getting a bit extended, especially when you've come down, you've taken out the low, not by much, retraced, retested, and started to head back up into the close. So, but each way you look at it, you've got a really good handy trade in there. So that was a cracker. End of April, from end of April. Oh, great, John. Yeah. Even, I mean, I couldn't care less if I have to miss out on a bit. Just speaking about John's comment there, if I have to miss out on a bit and go into cash, I don't mind playing around intraday also, but longer term, shares for me, I'm looking at weekly and daily charts. I'm not really looking at intraday. Setups are from your daily or weekly. So anything can happen overnight. I'm happy to go with cash just the way we are at the moment. We've had a good run up. You can always play around intraday if you just want to have a bit of sport, I guess we call it, a bit of action intraday. And you can make some little gains, but it just depends whether you've got the time to sit at the computer all day and you've got charts. You can just sit and watch the charts all day. But the good thing is it may not be great for shares when the volatility spikes, but it is good for intraday. So yeah, I don't mind, the way we are at the moment, holding cash. I'm a believer in sticking to your technicals. If you've got a good quality setup, and you do find a good quality setup, stick with it and trade it. Stick with it and trade it, and just see what can happen. Because if it's a quality setup, even if the market's cruising lower, I mean, it could still make money. There's nothing to say it can't. I'm a big believer in really don't maximize your risk, but really start to tighten your risk up. Because if the market is looking unsettled, the overall global markets, and we're down, and you get a good quality setup, they can easily turn and retrace. Because don't forget, the market can be controlled and really doing well a lot of the time, but then you get those times when it doesn't really conform to nice technicals. It's just that fear-driven market. It's completely random. They can just everything can look great for a buy and then just bang, spike straight through, and it doesn't make a lot of sense. So yeah, that's the kind of thing that could really catch you off guard. So I think if you don't leverage any big positions up at the moment, that's for when the market overall is going up. When it's a bull market or the market's looking good, looking strong, looking healthy. We've cleaned out a lot of this late buying. 1 minute chart. Yeah, I'm the same, Helen. I can't. I mean, when I was saying about the Aussie before, I had that short on. I was coming up to setting up for today, and I just had to take it off. I can't sit there and talk at the same time as I'm watching it. I think Helen's the same. I'll look at a 30-minute chart and get my levels off to 30, and then play around with the 5 and the 1. 5 for sort of your zones, and 1 minute charts for entry. So the trade's off there. If you get in the right zone, it can kick off. That's great. You can potentially get in the right area for a new longer term trend up, and it could be a half an hour trend up, so there could be a lot of fat in it. But a lot of the times it just gets a bit whippy. You can get a 5 to 10 points out, and then I'm happy to take that, especially if it looks like it's retracing, it's running out of steam, take some off, maybe take all the rest off if it keeps retracing on me. But yeah, I'll have to sit in front of the computer and watch all the time. I can't walk away. I think Helen's pretty much the same. All right. Is there anything else you want to look at, guys? Any other shares at the moment? The market's still looking fairly weak. I just want to see where that Aussie is. Is this a 30-minute chart? Let's just see. Let's take a quick look at what could happen. So that's the S&P. Let's look at the... Yeah. Just looking at oil, just saw this comment here, Trump trade wars and massive drop in oil. Spark a massive drop in oil. Let's just check if it's technically looking like that. If I can find it. A massive drop, eh? Got to remember, a lot of those articles out there are absolute rubbish. They frustrate me. Look, the oil chart is looking a bit like... it's actually not looking too bad. That's a... Let's go to the daily. Does anyone trade oil? God, what a lot of rubbish. I don't see that as a massive drop. I just want to quickly look at oil, and then we'll probably finish up there. Haven't looked at this for a while. Alright, the way I'd be looking at viewing this... That's not what I want to do, was it? It's that one. Alright, so that's oil there. We spoke about this before, I think. We've got a good little resistance zone there, but you can see it's spent doing, it's popped up here, found some more selling all the way down here. So we've got a base around that 28, and that was way back in the start of 2016. And we spent a lot of time just working off that. You can see this inside support. The market's pushed up, pulled back, it's consolidated through here. We found an inside support which we popped up, we reacted off there, and then we've had this good little run up. I mean, we could easily do this, what they were saying, pull back and then start to lift from here. Because the fact that, I don't mind that at all, the fact that we've popped up through that resistance zone, which is a clear resistance zone, a clear anchor to this move down, the major move down from 108, say, and we started to hold, so buying, stepping in, so it's moved down, it's popped back up. We found some support in here, some buying and stepping in at higher levels around the 44 mark. We've pushed up through 60, was it 60 bucks a barrel, give or take? And now we're just contracting off that, off the highs around 68. So we could easily, you know, to say a massive drop in oil is it's a big statement. You know, even if we get down to 52, I mean, I guess that's a massive drop, but, and then still start to lift. I would like to see this type of price action we've had, just want to clear that out. You take that up to there. Oh, I can't move that, can I? I'm assuming that's probably from 28 up to 50. What was that, 54? Take it from here. 28 to 54 is 20, 30, 26 bucks. If we take that from here, 44, that's 50, 60, 70. You could easily get up to 70. We could spike up to 70, and that would sort of be that move up, one. The secondary move up taking us to around the 60, 70 buck mark. So we could easily just extend up from here, blow up through the highs, then have maybe a major sort of a corrective action lower. Yeah, I thought it was worth just talking about the oil there. It's going to be interesting. I mean, trade wars, what that's going to do. What's that going to do to oil? All right, guys, probably call it a day there. Any questions? Anything else just lastly that anyone wants to quickly look at before we call it a day? Just flick through some charts here. What's gold doing? Has anyone been on the gold? It was a big rally. Is that gold futures? Monthly forecast. US dollars per ounce. That's probably spot gold, I'm guessing. We're still hovering, even we had a good, we're still hovering around that resistance zone. RFG. Yeah, there's some news come out on that, didn't it? There's a few, oh God. Yeah, it's got poleaxed. Gold ETF. I'm gonna do it. I might do something on the X. Was it the XDG? XDG, I think it is. That's a gold ETF. XGD. So your gold ETF here, well, your index anyway. I don't know what the ETF is, but that's not, it's starting to contract in itself, so you're probably right. It is a bit of a tooth puller. Oh, okay, so RFGs, I've had some bad news. What was that? What triggered that news? Results. So there's some bad news in there from results and everything. But yeah, look at that. We've always liked, and you can see that initial sell-off from here. Bang, gap down, come back, held around the 2 mark, gap down again. So that's not looking great, is it? I really did like that company. I think I can't remember we were buying it. Probably not back in here, somewhere around here, I think. Anyway, we had a crack at it up here. Drop in profits. So that's not good. Anyway, probably call it a day there, guys. Thanks for joining me. We'll be back in on Thursday at 8:30. Sorry, 8:30. What am I talking about? 12:30. It's going to be a late one. It's an early one at 8:30, isn't it? So thanks for joining me. Hopefully we'll see how that goes the next couple of days. See if the US can hang in there. See if we do get that bounce or what's going to play out in the US. But I think it's going to be fairly choppy from here on out. I'd say for a while. So don't be too concerned if you have to hold cash for a while. I wouldn't be too worried about that. If we see some nice quality setups, we'll potentially send them out as alerts. But otherwise, we'll see if some shorts, if we can get some shorts on the way down, if they do set up nicely and just trigger some shorts. Other than that, guys, have a great day. Speak to you again on Thursday. Cheers, bye.